I'm sure when you clicked on my video right now, an advertisement might have played up, and I'm sure you might have skipped that as well. But there are certain products and services which are not allowed to advertise. These typically include tobacco, alcoholic beverages, or other products which are harmful to us. But we all have amazing creative minds, and that is why you can see ads like "खूब जमेगा रंग जब मिल बैठेंगे 3 यार आप मैं और बैकपाइपर सोडा." Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here, and I welcome you all to the first fundamental analysis video of 2021. Today we are going to do an analysis of United Spirits Limited. Just be aware that I'm no way promoting their product, it is just purely for analysis. Whenever I do fundamental analysis of any company, I generally start by making you understand the main business, the main product of the company. But I believe that all of you might be 100% aware of all the products that this company manufactures and sells. But still, I would like to tell you that what the company does. It is involved in the manufacture, sale, and distribution of beverage, which is alcohol. It has a comprehensive brand portfolio with over 80 brands of Scotch whiskey, IMFL, and that is Indian made foreign liquor, whiskey brand, rum, vodka, and gin. They have so many marquee brands, and some of them are McDowell's #1. Oh my god, it's so difficult to remember the brands of this company. But what is not difficult is to just smash that like button. Well, before moving ahead with the company history, I would also like to add one or two more points about their product portfolio itself. It has 11 brands in its portfolio which sell more than 1 million cases every year. And it has 2 brands out of these 11 brands which sell more than 10 million cases every year. Oh my god, it's crazy. But anyways, in addition to this, the company also imports, manufactures, distributes, and sells various iconic Diageo brands such as alright, all these brands. So let's quickly understand about the history of the company. It was started way back in 1826 by Mr. Angus McDowell. In 1898, the company was incorporated as a company with a share capital of just 8 lakh rupees, but at that time. Well, years passed by. In 2013, Diageo acquired 10% stake in United Spirits Limited, and this stake was taken up to 54.8% in 2014, which was done through a subsidiary, which is Relay BV. Now, I'm sure you might be confused as who is this Diageo? Diageo, who initially took 10% stake in United Spirits Limited, then they increased their stake to 54.8%. So can I say they are one of the major shareholders of United Spirits Limited? Yes, because they are holding more than 50% stake in United Spirits Limited. And that is why in the annual report also, you might see many a times directly Diageo India is written instead of United Spirits. Okay, so that is how you understand the importance of this company in United Spirits Limited. But if you want to know who is this Diageo, it is India's leading beverage alcohol company, and it is a subsidiary of global leader Diageo PLC. I'm sure you might be wondering why Rachna is not talking about Vijay Mallya till now, because the moment it is United Spirits, I'm sure everyone would be like, what about Vijay Mallya? How much percentage stake does he hold in the company? So for that, let's quickly understand the holding pattern. Your favorite Vijay Mallya holds only 0.01 percentage in the company, but still that's almost 62,550 shares of the company. Who is the major shareholder? Then it is Relay BV. Again, you can clearly see this. I just mentioned it that Diageo is holding through Relay BV, which holds 55.94 percentage of the shares of the company. Well, what about the pledged shares? If you can see here, the total pledged shares are 1.19% of the holdings, and that is for the September ended quarter 2020. Well, before I end this section, I would just like to share one of the memes which made me roll on the floor. I'm sure you might have seen this income tax department's whatever you call the profile picture, which says that I'm a proud filer, and one of the meme which I saw for Vijay Mallya, he's a proud flyer. Well, let's do a quick economy and industry analysis. Believe it or not, India is one of the fastest growing alcohol markets in the world. India's consumption of alcohol amounted to 5.4 billion liters in 2016, and it went up to 6.5 billion liters in 2020. Why could this have happened? Multiple reasons are there. Number one, people's disposable income is rising. Number two, the overall lifestyle of the people is changing, not in a very positive way. Third, the working age population is also increasing, and there are so many more reasons as well which add on to this. But is this only a rosy picture for this entire industry? Answer is no. The moment we talk about the election year, whether it's a central government election or a state government election, immediately the governments are going to put some of the other restrictions on these companies. May it be marketing of this, may it be production of liquor related products, sale of these products, everywhere they'll try to, tighten the norms for all these products. If I talk about ESG parameter, especially the social parameter here, will not stand out very well. Some companies who believe in ESG investing might not look positively at such a company. Even if I'm talking about 2019, the industry experienced certain problems, which was mainly due to the slower economic growth and which got aggravated because the increase in the raw material prices. Well, let's do a financial analysis, but if I were to do a year on year or a quarter wise analysis, then I think it's better that I move out of the screen so that you can see the screen very nicely. Okay, first of all, let's do the quarterly analysis, whereby first I'm going to compare a YOY versus QOQ. First, YOY, September 2019 versus September 2020. If I'm talking about sales, the sales have dropped from 2314 to 2196 rupees in crores. This fall is roughly 5% in sales. If I'm talking about the OPM, which is the operating profit margin, that has also fallen by 5%. If I talk about net profit, though, net profit has fallen from 163 crores to 129 crores, which is like almost a 21% drop. But now, if I'm talking about a QOQ comparison, wherein I'm comparing June 20 versus September 20, my god, the sales have almost doubled from 1032 crores to 2196 crores. The operating profit margins have also gone up to 13% from minus 9%, and the net profit, which was at minus 242 crores, has bumped up to 129 crores. So overall, I feel that if I do a YOY comparison, the picture is not that good. But if I do a QOQ comparison, they're definitely getting up from their lows. Well, if I'm going ahead with the balance sheet analysis, nothing much, but yes, one point is pretty important. If you see their borrowings amount, borrowings was 2,570 crores as at year ended March 2020. And if I check the balance sheet for September 2020, well, just for your information, everyone knows that we have quarterly results Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. But balance sheet is published only in Q2 results and Q4 results, right? So this is the Q2 results balance sheet, which shows that the debt, the borrowing has gone down from 2,570 to 1,004 crore rupees. So that's like a drop of more than 50%. But if I go back to the P&L now, in P&L, you can see that the interest cost remains more or less the same. So there might be a possibility that the interest cost might also lower down in the Q3, and which might indicate a better PAT, profit after tax, in Q3. Well, continuing with few more parameters, what I like about the company, one is ROE, return on equity, for 5-year CAGR is 20%, 3-year CAGR is 21%. If I'm talking about the immediate previous year, it was 16%, but obvious reasons, Corona, everyone knows that. Second, if I talk about the stock price CAGR, the 10 years stock price CAGR is 9%, not bad. 1 year, even stock price CAGR is 8%. Of course, 3 years is not that good, it's minus 6%. And similarly, 5 years is also just 2%. If I talk about the top line growth and the bottom line growth, top line growth is something which I did not like at all, for a simple reason. 10 years CAGR top line growth is just 4%. 3 year CAGR growth just 2%, and TTM in fact is minus 19%. So overall top line growth, sales growth is not really good. But if I'm talking about the compounded profit growth, profit has been growing at, even if I ignore the 10%, which seems to be like pretty big, 5 years profit CAGR is 21%, 3 years CAGR is 26%, and TTM is, however, minus 67%. Let's do a quick peer comparison. Their peers are United Breweries, Radico Khaitan, GM Breweries, so many more, Global Spirits. Okay, let's consider 5 parameters and compare how it stands as compared to its peers. Number one, it's highest in its market capitalization as compared to the peers. If I talk about sales for the quarter September 20 as well as profit for the quarter September 20, you can see that sales is 2,196 crores, way above its peers. Same is the case with net profit, which is 129.4 crores, again super high as compared to its peers. ROC, return on capital employed, is 20.82%, which is pretty good. It's not highest amongst its peers, I can definitely say that, but above 20, I feel is definitely good. Even if I'm talking about the TTM sales, it is 7,806 crores, which is again way above all its peers. So if I do a peer comparison, considering all these parameters which I discussed, I can say that it is performing better in many parameters as compared to its peers. You might be wondering why I took United Spirits for fundamental analysis as the very first FA for the year. There are various reasons for that. The very first reason is that, especially at Q3, such companies see a good sales. Why? There are so many festivals in Q3, and the biggest festival for this company is 31st December, correct? Where the sales boost quite a bit. Second reason why I took this company was that the stock's 52-week high is 742, and currently also the stock is trading around 640 rupees. Well, market is at all time high, but this stock is not even at the 52-week high, right? Third thing, if I do a technical analysis, then as per the Fibonacci levels, the immediate next resistance which I can see is at 670 and followed by 730. As usual, I would like to tell you that this is only and only my analysis of the company. This is nowhere even close to a stock recommendation. Everyone is requested to do your own analysis. And if you have liked my analysis, then don't forget to share this video with your friends. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye bye.